Yes, Love and Marriage DC is back.
Yeah.
Woo! So look, tonight's episode, I told y'all we ain't capping on Love and Marriage DC. Okay, I told y'all tonight's episode was hot. I told y'all this season was hot. So of course I had to make sure my first guest from DC was hot. So we have the beautiful Erana Tyler
Hey.
and her gorgeous wig. Come on,
Yes.
Erana.
Don't forget about her.
Yes, we'll get to that too. And then we got Joe Jackson. Oh, I'm sorry. I mean, we got Jamie Tyler.
Terrible, man. Terrible. I'm
We
happy
got
to be here.
we got the villain of all villains. Just when you think no one could be as crazy as Martell Holt, we have met Jamie Tyler.
Tyler.
But
Yes.
wait, before we get to tonight's episode, speaking of Martell, you and Martell had a little face off a couple of months ago, right? Because on the nightcap with Carlos King, I mentioned that obviously Martell's a good-looking guy who knows how to dress. You're a good-looking guy who also knows how to dress. And then Martell started posting all these photos of him with the showers and his suits. And he said he is number one. So what do you have to say to that, Jamie? Who is best at dressing and looking good, you or Martell Holt?
Carlos, some things, you just don't even have to speak on. I think your viewers and your audience said who was holding it down. It's not up for debate. I do this in my sleep. And been doing it my entire life, not just when a show came. Let me be clear. Yeah.
So Jamie.
No competition, Carlos.
There's no competition. Okay,
No.
so Jamie, if I'm hearing you right, you're saying that you have always been a dapper guy, even before the cameras. So do you think Martell started to become dapper once the camera started to be in his life?
Let me say this. I've followed Huntsville from the first season, and I follow it now, and it's night and day. You could look at pictures of me from 20 years ago. I was wearing the latest suits to urban apparel, you name it. I just look who I'm married to. You can't be a slouch married to her.
So basically, he's saying it took Martell at least 3 seasons to get it right.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, I'm just saying, she said it, but I'm not a hater. He's clean. I know where he's shopping, and he's clean. And I'm no disrespect, but I've been doing this. You gotta remember, I've been wearing suits since the 90s. And I believe I'm a little older than him, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. Okay. So Erana, if you had to choose, who is the best looking guy from the Love and Marriage franchise? Martell or Jamie?
Come on now. What kind of question is that?
I don't know.
Of course, this face right here. James Tyler.
Yeah.
You saw her grab me? We got
From Love and Marriage DC.
You better not grab me.
Well, look, you may have to give her the D, Jamie, because Ashley isn't. So let's kick things right off with tonight's explosive episode. So the episode opens up with obviously the friendship between you and Ashley. And one of the things that we love and that Twitter was talking about tonight is they love the friendship between you and Ashley. Ashley said that y'all hang out all the time. You come over her house with the kids and hang out with the kids and vice versa. Talk to us about your friendship with Ashley and how did the show bring you guys closer together?
So I've known Ashley before filming, even season 1. But we got closer doing season 1. We started hanging out. I mean, I'm at her house, at her parties, her events. My mom has met her mom, our families, our kids. We all get together. Shoot, Ashley and Brittany, my daughter, they hang out together without me sometimes. So, it's just Ashley and I we've always meshed. We've always connected. We had the same style. It's always been an immediate connection between Ashley and I versus everyone else that was on season, the first season. So that wasn't hard to do, but yeah, we have a good time. Like we hang out all the time and we talk, and she told me she loves me numerous times. So all that D and all that stuff, we've been friends.
I love that. No, I think based on what I'm learning about Ashley, Ashley is just very cautious because she may have been burned in the past. Because one thing I know doing these shows is the female friendship is very sensitive, right? And that's something we saw a little bit last season, just with the collective coming together. Mm-hmm. And Jamie, speaking of last season, you tweeted recently once I uploaded the super trailer that for all those who called us boring last season, you have seen nothing yet. Obviously, we're back for a second season, so we weren't that boring, as people would say. But, I love your honesty. How did it feel when some people did say, you know what, y'all boring, y'all ain't Huntsville? Did you feel like people were expecting Love and Marriage DC to have the same exact drama as Huntsville?
Yeah, absolutely. And someone actually came on my post back that day or the day before and wrote snooze fest on my post and said, I'm not watching. I was like, well, don't watch it then. And then she got mad with snooze fest, snooze fest. So that's what prompted me to write that day. And for me, being new in this space, I was like, it's clearly not Huntsville. So I don't even know why y'all was expecting that. We're not even, I mean, city, we're from the city. So we're just not going to be from like a country, south, southern state, like how they move around. And I don't know what they was expecting. Like, I mean, I get we had to get to know the audience, had to get to know us. And moving forward into season 2, then you're gonna get kind of more what you have now. So I thought the season was great. The love we get in public, not just in the DMV, but other states, is I love y'all's story. I can relate to y'all family. Don't change a thing. So I thought this first season was a hit.
I did too.
No, and clearly it was coming back for a second season. And let the record show, Love and Marriage Huntsville, yes, is the #1 rated show on OWN. But Love and Marriage DC was the 3rd highest rated show on OWN. So obviously you guys have your own fan base. And this is why I don't get involved when people talk about ratings. Because the ratings that people release from the day of, that has nothing to do with the metrics of OWN. OWN measures ratings by live plus 3-day delay rating, because nobody watches TV anymore the exact same time. They watch it on DVR the next day. Right. So our ratings are different. And again, you guys are the 3rd highest rated show on the network, which is why we're back for a second season. But Erana, did you feel any pressures while the show was airing last season with this comparison of Huntsville? And look, I created Huntsville, and Huntsville obviously is a really big show. It's the biggest show on OWN, and honestly, it's one of the biggest reality shows to come along in a long time. But just like they got Real Housewives of Potomac, Real Housewives of Atlanta, these are 2 very different shows with Black folks. Do you feel like when it comes to Black people and Black audiences, let me say that, do you feel like they like to compare the Black shows against each other?
Absolutely. I was seeing the comments that he was saying, oh, they're so boring, and people are still saying that as we're posting season 2 trailer. Oh, I'm not watching them. They were boring last season. So I was saying that, we were new to reality TV. So we may have not opened up as much as we could have season 1, so season 2, we're now more familiar being behind the camera and more experienced, I would say. And so now they're going to see us more opening up with our marriage, our sex life, friendships, real talks. Look at your eyes.
And I'm retired, Carlos.
And he's retired. So some things that he couldn't do or say because of the job that he had when we were
He was a cop, y'all. So that was another thing. So Jamie's is a former police officer. When we were filming last season, Jamie was towards the end of his tenure as a policeman. And that's something we could not talk about because of, legal reasons and all that. Talk to them about that, because a lot of people didn't know that you were a police officer, Jamie.
Yeah, it was tough to do the show. I'm gonna be honest with you, because I was literally doing 8 hours from 6 to 2:30, and then meeting the producers and the cameramen wherever I needed to be 5 days a week. And then when she would bring up certain things that directly involved my career, it made us look like we can't even get along. We just functional. And I just was like, Raina, you know why I can't. Why would you? It was just causing craziness with us two on camera. But the part when she touched on at the reunion with Jason and the Braille thing, those were my years. I was a narcotics jump out officer. So 01 to 08, I was in court 8 hours a day, and I worked permanent 3 to 11. So the whole day I'm gone. And as a team, we knew that going into that dangerous assignment, she had to hold it down for Jason. But I couldn't say, I was in court or I was working. I just had to eat it in front of millions of people.
It made him look like an absentee father, like he wasn't around to help.
Yeah, and that's why I'm glad we were able to talk about that and reveal it. Because look, everybody knows your first season, you are getting to know the world. And it's not easy to give your life to a reality show, which is why I'm very protective of my cast. And we all knew, meaning the producers knew of your situation, which a law enforcement career, and that sort of limited you. But baby, free at last, free at last. Thank God Almighty. Jamie is free at last. And he is showing you some things. The other thing I want to talk about before we move on to tonight's episode is obviously the elephant in the room that we addressed in the show tonight was Monique and Chris. And Monique and Chris obviously introduced the Tylers and the Silvas and Winter and other people to the production to have a show centered around her. Because this season feels so different than last season, I keep saying that, but I want to get you guys' thoughts on it too. When you guys were working on last season, did y'all feel that, respectfully, that you two plus the other couples wanted to make sure that it wasn't a situation to where you guys were stepping on other people's toes, where you wanted to respectfully listen to other people's advice about how this reality game worked? Like, did that sort of prevented you sometimes from doing things because you were questioning things and stuff like that?
Yeah, and I'm glad you said that. Yeah, because we had discussions, because we were new coming into reality TV on the show. We had discussions, and we had discussions with Monique because she's more experienced. She's been on reality TV. So it were things that she was telling us, like, we can't say things that's going to destroy or affect others' marriage, our marriages and their marriages. And just kind of, I'm not going to say limit the drama, but it was things that we felt like we shouldn't share or do season 1. So we were more reserved, I think. For season 2, we was like, we're going to let it all out. We're going to be real. We're going to say what we want to say. We're going to say how we feel. We're not going to hold anything back. It was just totally different. And as you can see, season 1 and season 2 is like night and day. Look, especially for me, because, I was sitting there back like, oh, everybody, okay, let's do this. No, I'm not going to say that. I felt like I really couldn't be myself in season 1. It was some things that I wanted to say that I just didn't say because I just didn't know how people were going to react to it. But now I'm like, I don't care what I say. I don't care how you feel. I'm going to say what's on my mind. It is what it is. So it's just totally different.
And yeah, and go ahead, Jamie.
Now, I'd say for me, the advice I was given, I would say she was spot on. She said, if you don't insert yourself and speak in these things, you're going to get the character who they made you. And me with my career, I was trying not to be on TV being an asshole or I just tried to, if I could just get through these, this first one, and then it's cool. And sure enough, she would jump on me, Ashley, Raina, they were like, look, you got to get into it. You got to start doing this. And then when I did, that's what they focused on. And then they getting on me. I'm like, y'all the ones told me to react and And so I was just all over the place. I didn't know what to do. I was like, well, y'all bugging me to react. And then when I react, my temper. When I had a couple, you see the videos. So I get a little cranked up.
Yes, you do.
Yes,
you do. But that's the reason why I wanted to talk about the elephant in the room, because I wanted people to know, because some of the comments I read tonight was, did y'all purposely step it up? Are y'all acting a different way? And I obviously am not y'all. So I wanted to ask the question because I wanted the world to know that I even can tell that last season you guys were holding back.
Right.
And I felt that there was this pact that the couples had of, we're not going to do this because we all have this agreement. And that's why on Huntsville, they also had a pact before they started filming. Martell publicly said that he did not want anybody to talk about his infidelity. Kimmy did not want anyone to talk about Maurice staying out past 4 a.m. Like they had these conversations, but we were able to, of course, get through that. And the same thing happened with DC. And the reason why, and I'm going on record because I don't lie, this feels like a brand new show because I feel like you guys are being your authentic selves and you don't care about some pact. You don't care about the audience thinking some type of way. You understood the assignment. Mm-hmm. You understood season 1, like, okay, I now got my foot wet, right? And mm-hmm. I'm ready to be myself. And we're seeing that this season. And we're going to get into Erana and her Bob making an appearance this season because Erana is a different woman. But before I get into that, let's finish off with how we started tonight's episode. And that's with Monique and Chris's divorce. And you guys finding out what was going on. Obviously, I have said this, but people think I'm tons of things. A liar, I'm not. But explain to the audience the timeline of when you guys found out through your own way that they were going through their issues, the Samuels, versus when we were filming the show. Because a lot of people think like, oh my gosh, y'all just gonna spend y'all whole season talking about the show, and talking about the divorce or alleged divorce. But that's not the case. So explain to them how you guys found out and how we were still filming a show.
Right. So for me, of course, Monique, Ashley, and I, and Tasha, we were all still friends, from the first season. And we were hanging out. And then we got a call from her, I think a FaceTime. Well, she sent us a text and she said she wanted to discuss something with us. I guess she was just trying to get ahead of it before something even came out or leaked or somebody else told us. We got on a FaceTime. And this is actually, I think this is when we started filming and we were trying to figure out why she wasn't in any scenes. It was almost like we didn't know that Monique was not going to be a part of season 2. Let's put it like that. She never told us anything and the producers never said anything to us either.
Because we all, I want the world to know, not to cut you off. We all, meaning the cast and the producers, we all found out she was leaving the show at the same time when she announced it on her radio station. So I want the world to know that too.
Right. So we're thinking, okay, Monique's going to show up at this scene. Okay, Ashley, is your party, is your pink party. I know she's coming because she was texting us about what she was going to wear to the pink party. Also Jason's party. I said she loves Jason. I don't see why she would not attend Jason's party. So I was like, okay, well, she said she didn't show up for that. And it was always the nanny or the kids. So we were like, okay, enough of that. So then the weeks went on. So we were like, well, maybe she's going to show up. I said, this has been kind of awkward. It's like 2 weeks in. Mm-hmm. And then we're going into a third week. Nobody's saying anything. She's not saying anything. And then finally she calls us. She does a FaceTime with us, me and Ashley. And she said, I just want to let you guys know that me and Chris are separated, or we're going through a separation. He's living at the lake house and I'm living in Potomac. We're working on our marriage. We're not pushing for a divorce, but this is what's going on right now. And we were like, oh, wow, sorry to hear that. And then we had dinner. again with some other friends. Richie Sky was with us. Riley was with us that day, and she sat down. She told us all again at the table. He's living somewhere and she's living somewhere. And she never said, I'm not coming back. She just was talking about, they're separated. So I was like, okay. So then finally we heard that she wasn't coming back. And we were like, when was you going to tell us? If we were building a friendship and you were obviously texting us, we were hanging out at your house, why didn't you come to us and say, you know what, ladies, I don't think I'm coming back. We never got that from her. So we were just out of the loop just like everybody else, so I don't know if you talked to Chris. You never had any conversations with Chris?
I learned everything she just told you from her. And then I sent Chris a text, like, just checking on you, pray all is well. Here if you need this. Short.
Literally while we were filming, like when we were filming the Think Pink event for Ashley, she was supposed to be there. And we both got a text message on our phone saying, sorry, ladies, I'm not going to be there. So we was just we was finding it kind of odd that she was coming up saying that she was saying she was going to be there, or I'm planning to be at these events. But then we'll get a text message saying, oh, I can't make it. So we would just start, what is happening? Like, what is really going on? And we just couldn't get any answers. And then finally, like you said, she came out and said, I'm not going to be, coming back to the show.
Yeah. And listen, I saw her a few days before that at Portia's wedding, and we never talked about it because at the end of the day, and you guys know me well enough to know, I love my cast and I'm protective of my cast. And my relationship with my cast has nothing to do with the TV show, right? So I appreciate the fact that she and I and Chris, we talked, it wasn't a long conversation, maybe like 10, 15 minutes, but we didn't break up the show because that goes to show you that it's not about a TV show.
Right.
And long story short, I said this to her that at the end of the day, I want her to be happy. And if this show isn't going to bring you happiness, then I'm happy that you're able to remove yourself from it. And I want the world to know it was her decision. And she said it on her radio show. And I wish her nothing but the best. There's no beef. There's no drama. Look, clearly people like to create stories that there's issues. Child, I have issues with nobody. Let's be clear.
We've also been hearing too, I hope they don't drag Monique's story out through the whole season. That's their new storyline. That we're using Monique and her separation from the blogs, that storyline for the whole season. I was like, what sense does that make?
First of all, breaking news
on Twitter.
My friends.
That's all your friends.
I know
it's on Twitter.
It's the shady Reigndrops. No, I'm teasing. Breaking news. We're not talking about it anymore after the first episode. So listen, I followed the reality. Erana just said to you guys, we were filming when all this was happening. We all knew before we were filming. Obviously, listen, it is what it is. People could say who leaked it. I'm not here to throw anybody under the bus. The convenience is Ashley Darby was on BravoCon stage mentioning this stuff, and then a couple of hours later, it was released. So any sort of like rumor, let me tell y'all something. I've been producing reality TV for 15 years. I have worked on big, big, big shows. None of my shows have ever been leaked, ever. I don't leak anything because I like to keep things on the show. I want people to be surprised when they watch. And it wasn't like we would, first of all, the integrity that we have at the company and the integrity that we have as cast, we just would never do that. But I find it quite funny that people are blaming production. That's funny. When Ashley Darby sat there on BravoCon stage out her own mouth, but all of a sudden it's blaming the production. But it goes to show you it's popular to blame Carlos King and his cast and the production for stuff. Is old, is tired. After episode 1, the only thing you'll see about the Monique thing is Ashley getting asked about it at her at the news channel. Yeah. And child, we got some more juice coming on, because the other juice we got coming on that we saw tonight's episode is the Petties, Joy and Clifton from Ready to Love. Again, the reason why, audience, this season is so effing good, and y'all know I don't lie. It's so good. because the friendships are organic.
Yes.
There isn't a pact. No one had a sit down. It's all about the fact that what you see is what you get. Explain to the audience y'all friendship with Joy and Clifton, because y'all hang out all the time, and y'all were just in Mexico celebrating y'all anniversary.
Yeah. So as far as for me, I met Joy at Jamie's Friday night event. Clifton actually, I think he was in conversation with you way before we started filming, and he invited Clifton and Joy to his Friday weekly event. So when she got there, we hung out and we connected. And next thing you know, we started setting up like double dates. So we were starting to going out on date nights as couples, going out to eat crabs on Sundays. Joy has met my mom, met the kids, just continuously hanging out because they're a great couple. They have a really great personality. Joy is fun to be around. And we just connected very well. So, before filming, we was like, this would be a great couple to bring around us into the group. And you see how things are working out. Okay.
Let me just add this, Carlos. So I actually saw Clifton's message on Instagram a couple years ago. And then when I saw him on the TV, I saw how engrossed she was in that couple. And I was like, I kept saying, I know him from somewhere. Mm-hmm. And then I looked him up on Instagram and checked the message, and I saw we had chatted real briefly, like in 2020 or something like that. Long story short, he reminded me, I used to come to your parties 10 years ago, and we met, but you probably don't remember. I said, I don't remember. But I knew he looked familiar. So that's kind of what sparked him and I. And I knew she was in love with Joy just from the show. So we put them all together at my event, and they've been rocking ever since.
No, and Joy and Cliff are rocking. So much so that tonight we saw a little, let me tell y'all something. and Erana and Jamie can finish it for me. What y'all saw tonight between Joy and Ashley?
Yes, hilarious.
Was Sesame Street compared to what's to come. And that's I'll get back to that in a second. But when you, Erana, who has a friendship with Ashley, when you saw that go down between Ashley and Joy, did you think to yourself like, oh mama, what is
you know
this?
What? We have this group of women, are very strong-minded women, and they're gonna say what's on their mind. They're not gonna beat around the bush. They very direct. So when Ashley said it, I was just like, here we go. But I'm also thinking about Joy because this is her first time being around the group like that. So I'm like, here we go. So I'm thinking, like, what do I do? Because they both are good friends of mine, but I know how Ashley can be. Ashley's going to ask a question, and she doesn't care. If she doesn't understand what's going on, or she doesn't understand why you're doing a single mom event and you're not a mother, she's going to ask that question. Me, on the other hand, I'm just be like, oh, girl, that's great. Girl, rock it out. Get your coins. Do your thing. They invited you to the event to host. Girl, do your thing. But Ashley's going to be like, but you're not a single mom. Why are you doing this event? Do they know that? So that's Ashley. She's going to ask the questions. Just like when we was meeting with Winter at dinner. Ashley's going to ask the questions that really everybody has on their mind.
Right.
Everybody's thinking the same thing.
Everyone's thinking the same thing. Yes. And so, Jamie, obviously, you're there. Did you, because one thing that is funny between, first of all, the Silvers and the Tyler's friendship to me is comedy. Like, I don't know if y'all ever catch this, but I love it when they tease Jamie that he's the baddest on the show. Like, Jamie's the baddie, we're not. So Jamie and Ashley have this, and you'll see more of it this season. They have this interesting banter that I think is good. It reminds me of Marceau and Melody, where it's like this ping pong game.
Mm-hmm.
So because Jamie, you know Ashley, and you also have a smart mouth like Ashley, what were you thinking that moment? Like, is this gonna end well between the two of them?
Well, I'm learning Joy, and I know Clifton. I know he's just as sassy as the best of them. So I'm seeing this play out, and I'm just like, Joy is not going back down. Ashley absolutely not going back down. And just like we later learned, it snowballed into other things later, and I'm not surprised.
Yeah, because when I even, talked about them joining the show, I said that they have a personality where they'll let you know how they feel too. I said, I've seen Joy go. I've heard Clifton go. So when I witnessed what was happening with them and Ashley, I was like, okay, is the real Joy going to come out, or is she going to just sit there and be like, not right now. It's not the place. But eventually you will see as the season goes on, it's more things that's going to unravel. But
yes, and as you saw in the super trailer, everyone, and Erana, listen, I want to tease this a bit. No, actually, let me finish it, then I'll talk about the other stuff. Ashley versus Joy started tonight. And it's interesting because how can I say this without giving things away?
Right.
You don't expect it to balloon the way it has ballooned, right? And Ashley versus Erana is one of the craziest beefs that has ever been on the Oprah Winfrey Network. Between two female cast members. Now we see Melody and Miss Wanda, right? That's different. That's a mama child. Joy versus Ashley is very good. So stay tuned for that. But this is the gag. And Jamie, cover your ears. Erana is not the same woman y'all saw last season. And Erana has no idea I'm doing this. Mrs. Erana Tyler. I'm going to call her E.T. in short. Because, baby, she's an alien superstar. What I tell you, baby, Miss Erana is coming for the girls.
Yes.
Erana is... Let me tell y'all something. I'm up to episode, I think 9 or 10.
Oh, wow.
Right? Oh.
You done seen some things.
I've seen some things. That's why y'all got to stay tuned every Saturday, 8 o'clock, 7 Central. Oh, look, Erana is checking everybody on this show. Erana and Sherelle.
Oh, Lord.
Ooh, oil and water. Like, we just could not.
So next week's episode, you're going to see Erana and Winter, right? So that's great. You'll see that. Sherelle is a new friend to the show. Her husband name is Black. Black is a producer on Winter's hit single, Shut Up, JB. Sign my papers, because JB's shady. And Sherelle and Ashley have been friends for years. Erana and Sherelle beef is also up there with Ashley versus Joy. Let me tell you something. Erana gets up in Sherelle's face, and she is wearing a beautiful black bob from your wig line. Let's promote it. Because Erana has a wig line.
Wig line.
Erana is giving Keisha Kayor realness. And this black bustier, she has her jacket off the shoulders like Kim Kardashian. She has on a bob from her wig line. She's wearing black sunglasses. I'm not going to give it away. Sherelle tries to check. And I love you, Sherelle. The key word is try. Sherelle tries to check Erana. And when I say it got so bad, Ashley had to step in the middle and break them up. Anyway, so...
But Carlos, I already knew this. You had this. You just didn't know it.
Why was I
so I'm not just being like this
Erana,
because of the season.
I'm mad at you. You were holding back last season.
I told you that. I said season 1, because of the conversations and the information I was getting, I felt like I couldn't be myself. That's what he was trying to tell y'all. When we were in CIAA season 1, and I started like going over the table almost with Tasha, getting into that argument with her. That's what he was trying to tell y'all, because he know how I get. I can go from 0 to 1,000 real quick. So that's always been me. It's just that season 2, I was like, be me. And this is, you see what you get. All my close friends know how I am. So now they're getting to know the real Erana, and can they take it?
And Carlos, let me just piggyback. You know how people always quickly say where they from? You doing a show in D.C. She went to D.C. public schools. She grew up in D.C., Northwest. So that attitude is in her, always been in her. And even season 1 where they say, I'm beating my wife. Raina will fight me. Like, with no problem. And you know how her mouth is. That's why I was like, listen to me. And I did just like, because she was getting ready. You saw how she was getting. And I'm like, yeah, stop. Like, you doing I'm trying to, because we filming. So I'm saying, Raina, you're this classy black woman.
And I am, but it has to be a reason to take me there. Like if somebody's getting into my space, you know, being aggressive or just, you know what I'm saying? Like I have to defend myself. And that's when Ray comes out.
Yeah.
Ray is the
Ray
other
Ray,
person.
not E.T.
That's Ray.
Okay. So we're not going to call you, because E.T. is an alien. So I was calling you alien superstar because you came out your face, mama. And you was checked. When I say to you, I don't want to give it away. And Sherelle, I love you. And I'll talk to you soon. Erana gagged Sherelle so bad. Sherelle did this. Ooh. Like in the middle of an argument. And when I say they chin checked each other, and Miss Ash, you know it's bad when aggressive Ashley has to break something up. That's what Ashley was a peacemaker.
Right.
Which
she was doing that a couple of times this season.
I gotta see this myself.
Oh, it's I was like, what is and I'll say this before we move on to the rest of the episode. We see in the trailer that the besties, Erana and Ashley.
The gutter Barbies.
Yeah! Yeah! Okay. The gutter Barbies, who we love y'all friendship. It reminds of like, you know, Letitia and Marie from Bell Collective. You know, like we love when we see two Black women who are both gorgeous and successful have this real friendship. And that's why we wanted to make sure we started the episode with y'all two conversing. But what we see at Ashley's Christmas Eve party, y'all are in y'all Saint Nick outfits representing Christmas and the birth of Jesus, honey. The birth of Christ, okay? Without giving anything away, what happened where you told Ashley, I'm right here? And that's just a taste. All I'm going to say is, allegedly, some wine was thrown. But anyways, can you go ahead, Erana, and tell the girls?
Wine, a margarita. It was a full glass of margarita. And it got on everybody.
Even the crew. Look at Jamie. Jamie, yes. That's why you said, thank God I'm retired from law enforcement, because God knows.
Yes. I tried to save y'all from Ray, but she's here.
It was a lot though, Carlos. I mean, the night started off peaceful, and we all were having fun and drinking and things like that. I actually thought it was going to be me and Sherelle, because although me and Sherelle had that conversation in the weeks, before that, and we were like, peace, okay, yeah, that. But we kind of started up a little bit at the holiday party. So I was like, okay, this is going to be the drama right here. Because I didn't think Joy was coming. So, but I mean, it was just a lot that happened. And of course, again, I'm never going to let anybody just talk to me any kind of way. And Ashley can be aggressive Ashley. You know what I'm saying? And again, she was drinking and it just got blown out of more than I thought it was going to be. And of course, I wasn't going to back down. I'm just not that type of person. So when she was saying what she had to say, I was like, I'm right here. Like, what you going to do? They holding you back. I'm right here. All this talking that you doing right now, I'm here. Do what you say you trying to do. You know, it was so much. Carlos, I'm telling you, that night was so explosive. It was like, what happened? The next day we were like, what happened?
You and me both.
I know.
It was so much going on that night. It was just, I never thought that night was going to happen like that. I did not think it was going to go that way.
No, I never thought I'll see the day where there's something that happened between Erana and Ashley. But it also goes to show y'all this show is real. And it goes to show you that, you know, friendships go through their ups and downs. It's all about, are you able to get past it? I'm not going to give anything away. All I'm going to say is make sure you watch every episode because every episode gives you a little taste of why things build up into some explosion. And Erana, you are a star, baby. This season, I text the producers and I said, baby, Erana is giving me everything I wanted and did not know I needed. And I'm on it. Erana, all I'm gonna say is Erana is checking the girls. And by girls, I mean plural. Okay, so Jamie, speaking of checking, we all saw last season how the first episode began with this very important conversation between you and your son, little Jamie. And we were all rooting for little Jamie. Like, we saw the court date. We saw the conversation at the reunion and how little Jamie said, this show has changed my life. And we all cried. And, you know, we love some Jason too. Hey, Jason. And then we saw tonight that little Jamie sort of backslid into some old habits, right? The conversation that you and little Jamie had on the balcony was very real. One thing you said that my brother, I don't have kids, and I made that very known. But I have 9 siblings, and I give advice to my siblings about their children who are either on or around the same age as little Jamie. You said something so powerful in this episode that I have said to my own siblings. You said kids who are born in the 90s, they have this sort of entitlement because their parents didn't have half or all of the stuff that they have now. And you said we as parents who had children in the 90s, we did a disservice to them because we gave them too much. Mm-hmm. And they grow up thinking everything should be handed to them. And I wanted to say to you, from a Black man to another Black man, that alone is going to change lives, because I promise you, as a non-parent, I said the same thing. Not that everybody who's born in the 90s is entitled, but a large majority of kids, they do have it. Talk to us about what that meant for you to express that, and how you two can look back and say, did we give little Jamie too much too soon?
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up. I think in season 1, I really couldn't touch on the law enforcement side of why he was saying the stuff I was saying. I saw, of course, your Twitter friends. It's just weed. Let him smoke the weed. It's just weed. But
he's shady right now.
That's the parent side. But the law enforcement side, I know what happens from those kids getting high. They go right down this drain of Lord knows what. And me as a 70s baby, my father was like, oh, you want Jordans or you want Nikes? Just little old Nikes. Go get a job. Because they didn't have it. Our parents were government workers trying to survive. And my dad and mom split when I was 8. So it was me and him all the way till I moved out. And as soon as we get a good job and making money, what we do? Giving them all the stuff we couldn't get My kid gonna have all that. He gonna be fly. She gonna be fly. They gonna have all the latest shoes. And we looking back now in their 20s, like we shouldn't have did that.
Right.
And a lot of our peers with kids, we all had this. When I get the venting, and then I say, somebody else I'm talking to, they say, yeah, that's my son too. And I'm like, it's all of us. Like we all, and I feel like, and I briefly been telling them, I'm like, I'm talking to us 70 babies with kids in their 20s all season. And I know you've seen it, but I feel like I'm gonna connect with so many parents, and hopefully their kids will actually watch it and say, who he sound like. Didn't I just say that? You know, just like you just said. Because it's real, and I know for a fact, like he was sports, good grades, fly, good looking, and then he went just like this. And then, you know, you seeing it play out. And that was real. Y'all came right when it wasn't good.
Yeah, no, we were so surprised by it because again, we ended the season with him being, you know, back in terms of having a job and all these things. And what we saw tonight was, you know, he doesn't return, you know, text messages. He told you to because y'all have the same name, some stuff came in the mail. You opened it, it was a ticket. And he said, pay for it. you like, wait, what? And then he said something that I know hurt y'all's feelings of parents. He said how his girlfriend looks out more for him than y'all do. And that's when you said, look. And obviously, Erana, one thing I know about Black mamas. And so all my Black mamas listen.
Right.
And Jamie, I would love to get your opinion. Black mamas, they're going to have their boys back now. Be very clear. There is nothing like the relationship between a Black mama and her son. That is a deep protection that is hard to explain. It's a Black mama and her son. So obviously what we saw tonight was, listen, I want to hear from you. As a person on the outside looking in, I felt that we saw you at an impasse. Like, my husband is right. He's not wrong. You know, he's right in what he's talking about, but that's my baby.
Right. And I think that's the problem now, you know, because I treat it like, okay, he's disciplining the kids, but I'm also at the same time giving them what they want. And it shouldn't be that way. And Jamie has an issue with that because we're supposed to be on the same page. And then little Jamie will text me after they argue. So if he don't get it from him, then he's going to text me. And of course, again, that's my baby. My boys are very special to me. And so is Brittany. And then I'll give it to him. And that's not the right way to do it because it's confusing and then he's never going to learn. You know, so, but when he made that statement that he didn't say just the girl holds him down, he said the family, her family. So, because he was staying with them. So when we started, I think when we first filmed, was he here?
We hadn't seen him for over a week.
Yeah, he was gone. He was living with the girlfriend's family, which is unorganized. They don't have no structure. You could smoke weed. You could do whatever you want in that house. In this house, we have structure. You don't have to go to work. It's totally different over there than what's over here. Over here, clean house. You're going to have a job. You're going to get your ass up to go look for one or the other. But for him to say, they're holding me down when I secretly do stuff for him that he don't even know about. My mother, who is retired years ago, will peel money out of her stash and give it to him. So the disrespect was when he said they're holding him down and we're not. You know, sometimes he would come in the house and speak to his grandmother. His grandmother is giving him thousands of dollars. You hear me? So when he says stuff like that, that hurts me because I'm like, I'm bending over backwards doing stuff that my husband don't even know about. You know what I'm saying? For you, because I love you, you know? So that kind of hurt me when he said stuff like that.
No, of course. And that's the reason why I'm telling y'all, Love and Marriage DC season 2 not only is riveting television, and yes, we could talk and have fun with the drama with the girls and stuff like that. But what I love about this franchise is the fact that we talk about real stuff that affects the community. And it's funny, I said something on the Love and Marriage Huntsville reunion about Black women watching the show and getting a mammogram. Child, this white woman read me for filth and said, white women watch your show too, Carlos.
Oh.
So I said, I appreciate you. I'm sorry. I wasn't trying to not include you, child. So obviously, a lot of women watch this show. A lot of parents do. And we talk about real issues. And DC is a hit because the Tylers are talking to the audience about what they go through. Because I promise you, that conversation and this interview, I promise you, is going to change how parents who have children born in the 90s and after that, how they treat, discipline, and spoil their children. Because the thing about little Jamie, who I've met and loved, he's not a bad guy. He's not a bad human being. You know, I love the honesty that is going to happen towards the rest of the season, where it's important to say, look, you're in your 20s. I know what I did when you was 5, 10, 15, but something has to change. And I believe that things will change. And I believe that your honesty and seeing how this parent, you know, the father, obviously in this case, is having a tough conversation with his son. Because unfortunately, we don't have a lot of Black fathers in the household. So to see this conversation go the way it went, and to see that at the end of the day, Jamie's not giving up, but he is being tough. And you remind me of my father, because my father, because I mean, I wasn't bad. So this are for my brothers. I was a good kid. I was just sassy, as they called me, and I spoke my mind. Shocker. But I wasn't like, I wasn't in the streets and, you know, hanging out with the thug boys. I wasn't child. But my brothers were. And I remember my father punching a hole in the wall, trying to get their attention, and physically saying, I'm gonna beat you. That's sometimes what Black fathers have to do. So for all y'all Twitter friends that he loves to say is mine, who was trying to read Jamie tonight, like, damn, Jamie, you talk to your son that way. If you are a Black man with a Black son, yes. That sometimes you have to do that. So what happened in the hallway that we saw a little bit tonight, just a little bit, that made you almost go to blows with your son?
So what took me to that point, Carlos, was he did this. And he raised up at me. And he did that some years ago. I forgot what he did, but something happened, we got into it. And he did that again in my old house. And we were out in the neighborhood, and I was like, you lucky. I said, come back in this house. He ain't come back. That was gonna be the day, because he put his little guards up, and I was like, what? And I was in super shape back then. So when I saw it again, it just brought me back to that day. And I'm like, fourth wall, I was like, fuck all this shit. Stop playing for all this shit. And he was like, I mean, you saw the clip, said, somehow, what you want to do? And I was like, not today. Because I was already heated from, what was going on prior to that week with the ignoring us, and then they hold me down. So I had so much frustration in me. And then you come in here like, then you saw on the balcony, he took the mic off, man, I ain't got time for this shit. Like, so I was like, oh, and I thought it was over right there, but then, the hallway scene comes up. And I don't like controversy at all. And it's just like, I just want you to get it, man. Like, I don't know what it takes to just get it. Like this, at 26, we had a house, we had kids, we was moving and shaking. And you right upstairs, just getting high and whatever else. And it just don't sit on my spirit, right? Like, I cannot just let you.
You just want so much more for him.
Yeah. I think I wanted it more than he do. That's the problem.
Yes. And listen, I was 26 before, but to your point, I think because I wasn't born in the 90s, I was 26. I left Detroit, moved to New York City, was interning at BET, got a job, and I was, you know what I'm saying? So I listen, people can judge how they want to. I will go on record saying what you did tonight, I saw my father do to my brothers. to really get them to come back. And the beauty of my father, who was in the house with my mama, none of my brothers, thank you, Lord Jesus, are in jail. They alive. They all got a job because my father, like you, Jamie, never gave up. Mm-hmm. And if that meant we're going to square up, and that's what we're going to do, but I'm not going to give up on you. I'm going to be on you and stay on top of you. And I encourage the two of you to continue to do that. And that's my message to the audience, that I've seen it happen. I have 6 brothers, and I've seen my active father change the course of my brothers' lives because he had to do what I saw Jamie do tonight. So listen, I'm just saying, kudos to you. You're changing lives. Obviously, you too, Erana. But before I let y'all go, what's the one word that y'all would use to describe the rest of the season? Because we are still filming. Yes, we're still filming. But what word would y'all use to describe the rest of season 2 of Love and Marriage DC?
I would say explosive.
Yes. Jamie?
One word. I would say spicy.
Super spicy.
Explosive and spicy. I would say surprises. And I'm going to leave y'all with this. Stay tuned for when winter sees Jamie. Okay, so... So look, make sure y'all tune into... I'm telling y'all, listen, if y'all don't listen to anything I say, Love and Marriage DC season 2 is back. It's a phenomenal show. It's its own franchise. It's not Huntsville, it's DC. I want y'all to watch this and really look into what y'all are witnessing, which is a show that's on the verge of greatness. I said the same thing when Bell Collective came back for a second season. I said, first season was like an introduction into the world. Season 2, I told y'all was great. Y'all believed me. Y'all watched it. That's why we're coming back for a 3rd season. I'm telling y'all the same thing about Love and Marriage DC season 2. This, baby, it has blown my expectations. I am blown away. There is not one boring episode. I'm telling you, it's like this. It's ups and downs. And last but not least, they're all calling out each other in terms of what they're seeing. And that's what real friends do. And that's why this season feels different. So Jamie and Ray, I love you too. And cheers.
I should have worn a bob.
Yes, listen, this is a gag. So at the reunion, I may wear a bob because So look, right
you know, if I wear my bob to reunion, you know what that means, right?
Oh, well, do I need security at the
security?
Speaking of reunion, what you wearing? So I can get a little head start on it.
No. Listen, my stylist knows, and it is funny. I always tell her, if I'm around Martell or Jamie, bring out the good stuff in the vault.
Yeah.
And it's funny because she told me one day, because we all kind of shop sometime at the same location. She'll tell me, yeah, Jamie's wearing this. I said, okay.
That's why I got that one made. I got that one made. I said, and look, you called me out too on Twitter. I literally had your picture up. I said, I need that.
So I do the same. When you the suit you wore to the nightcap, that clean.
That was Miguel. That was Miguel.
Oh, you know, I love Miguel. That's on my vision board. So no, we do the same. But no, this is all good. I love y'all. And we'll see y'all episode 2 next week. Again, Love and Marriage DC season 2 every Saturday, 8:00 7 Central on the Oprah Winfrey Network. And make sure you like and subscribe, hit the notification button, and every Saturday, #LAMDC.
Yay.